Hi, I'm Mallory.
Hi, I'm Harry.
We're UX researchers at Google. Today we'll be sharing our learnings on the topics of product inclusion and equity and community co-design.
Wear OS is at the beginning of our product inclusion and equity journey. As we continue it, we'll be sharing what we've learned to help drive progress in our industry and beyond.
We would like to share how we recently approached community co-design and considerations you may need to take when beginning this work. This approach is still considered nascent in product development within tech, and because it's so new, it has many different names. But for the purposes of this video, we will be referring to this approach as community co-design. Before we dive in, we'd like to acknowledge that community co-design is a strategic investment. This work must be set up in a way that fosters long-term, authentic, and reciprocal relationships with communities. First, let's talk about the differences between traditional participatory design and equity-focused design approaches.
Traditional participatory co-design is a research methodology that consists of hands-on co-creation of user interfaces and interactions with potential users.
Community co-design brings an equity-focused lens to co-creation and focuses on building solutions with, not for, historically marginalized communities.
In traditional co-design, researchers employ the following tactics. Typically, we recruit participants based on behavioral or attitudinal characteristics.
In community co-design, we engage with people based on identity, culture, community, and context.
Traditionally, participants are only seen as subjects to be researched.
In community co-design, we treat people as subject matter experts and co-designers of technology. We engage these experts not only in data collection, but throughout the design process.
In all research, standard ethics must be considered.
In community co-design, we carefully consider personal identity and sensitive topics, such as safety and health. We must ask ourselves, are we the right person to conduct the research? And how can we ensure the study may not cause distress to those involved?
Lastly, traditional research questions default to asking users to generalize their needs, motivations, and experiences.
While community co-design asks questions that are framed through the lens of identity and context. For example, asking a community expert how they plan to travel as a woman in an unfamiliar urban environment may reveal completely different responses compared to asking a participant how they generally plan travel. Identity and context matters, and these insights can improve how we build solutions. Next, we'll review some considerations for how your team can approach equity-focused research and community co-design.
Before starting this work, consider a few key questions. First, should a community co-design project be done at all? Asking people from marginalized communities to discuss their personal experiences regarding exclusion and at times trauma without a clear action plan is performative at best and harmful at worst. Before engaging in this work, consider critical questions such as, are you the right person or entity to conduct this work in the first place? Are there already community-driven solutions you can invest in? What will the short-term and long-term impact of this project be, and who will benefit most? Second, is the community co-design project set up for success? Co-design can take more time and be more expensive, but the quality and longevity of outputs is worth the investment. Make sure you schedule enough time and resources to adequately address learnings from the community.
Next, consider how your approach accounts for psychological safety and power dynamics in research. Safety is critical when setting up community co-design. There is no one way to guarantee safety, but here are some areas to consider as you get started. Make sure research moderators are trained in equity-focused research practices. If your organization does not have subject matter experts in the space, consider partnering with organizations that specialize in equity work. As a research moderator, build a sense of community by finding common ground. For example, try to work with trained moderators who are within the community you are working with. If that is not feasible, try to find shared experiences and interests to connect with community members on a personal level. Question whether the surveillance atmosphere of traditional research environments, where team members listen into sessions, is appropriate for your project. Ask community members for their consent before inviting team members in. As a moderator, provide informed consent, transparency about why we are asking certain questions, and be open to answering questions during session. Create a collaborative environment. Leverage methods such as friendship groups. This is a form of focus group where members bring a few friends within their community to talk about shared or personal experiences with more comfort and ease.
Consider building trust through transparency, agency, and knowledge building. Clearly define the intention of the project and keep co-designers updated on progress. Try to be explicit when sharing information about privacy, data, and next steps. For example, when recruiting participants, we used progressive disclosure to let folks know this test talks about sensitive content before asking them to sign up for the research. Consider providing more agency in research and deliverables. Make all questions optional. Provide opt-outs, the ability to erase or edit a response, and co-create narratives. Build community and cultural knowledge by critically analyzing history and personal biases. For example, if your team is focused on gender equity in the wearable space, you can conduct a literature review of the history of women and wearable tech. Focus on intersectionality, barriers, and opportunities in key areas like hardware design, safety, and health. Consult and compensate experts such as employee research groups and community organizers. And work with your diversity, equity, and inclusion team to identify and understand your own biases to avoid stereotypes.
Consider concrete ways to value the lived experience of community members and compensate them for their expertise. In community co-design, internal designers should act as facilitators, while community experts take on the role of subject matter experts. Include co-designers not only in research, but in decision-making and development. Prioritize community expertise and impact over design intuition and intentions. As we build more long-term relationships, consider how we may push forward thinking around equitable compensation. For example, we could grant company equity awards to co-designers or invest in their professional development. Consider focusing research on healing and building restorative solutions versus evaluating exclusion in current products. Try to avoid the need to rehash foundational issues of inequity with community experts, solely for the sake of telling traditional user stories and problem validation. This highlights a concept called the datafication of injustice, a phrase coined by Ruha Benjamin. This is when the hunt for more and more data becomes a barrier to acting on what we already know, and moving from identifying problems to building transformative solutions.
Consider collaborative decision-making throughout the product development process. Consider co-designing the entire end-to-end project from goals, scope, and intended outcomes with community experts. This strategy helps to mitigate risks of making inaccurate assumptions and keeps the needs of the community centered. Work with community experts to create short-term and long-term solutions. Be transparent about technical constraints and re-engage co-designers when new decisions arise. Consider how you can leverage deliverables as a key part of the learning journey. For example, in research reports, make sure to highlight community activists, books, articles, and important causes. Link resources so your team can support community causes financially to invest in the community you are working with.
In conclusion, product inclusion and equity and community co-design are still in the early stages in tech. We are sharing these learnings to begin an open dialogue with more people and partners so we can start to define this practice together. Special shout out to equity research vendor Dope Labs for collaborating with Google on community co-design work and learnings.
For more information on community co-design, check out the resource section below. Thanks for listening.